Hello there. What's going on, everybody? I want to ask the question today, who is going to get the Clone Wars first? So if you have been paying attention, you'll know at Gen Con, they announced that X-Wing and Legion were both going to get Clone Wars, and to everybody's surprise, and it was awesome. And this is probably linked to the fact that the Clone Wars is being revamped and coming back for a final season, which will be exclusive to Disney's new streaming service that is probably set to debut at the end of 2019. So we still have a long ways to go until that comes out. So the question is, who's going to get it first? A lot of Armada players definitely want Clone Wars in Armada. I think it's safe to say that that is not happening anytime soon, but it seems to be the fact that if it does well in the other games, it will definitely come to Armada as well. But who's going to get it first? Well, I think it's going to boil down to a couple of different things. I think you can make an argument for either game, but I think my guess right now is that X-Wing is going to get it first, and I will tell you why. But before I do that, I want to remind everybody there is a big new giveaway going on right now where you can win a Superstar Destroyer, and I'm giving that away. All you have to do to enter to win that is to become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. So why do I think X-Wing will end up getting the Clone Wars first? Well, at San Diego Comic-Con, they actually revealed the models of two of the ships that we're going to see. It was that the Delta 7 Jedi Starfighter, and then also Darth Maul's Scimitar. So I think that the fact that they have like a model already ready to show us kind of tells us that they're farther along than maybe, you know, we would have thought. It's not like they just decided at Gen Con, hey, you know what, let's just decide that we're gonna start making something and then announce it. As a matter of fact, usually by the time they announce something, they're farther along than you would have guessed. So in theory, they could be making Clone Wars for other stuff. In theory, there could be other Clone Wars, maybe a Clone Wars board game or whatever in the pipe. Who knows? But there could be more Clone Wars stuff in you know, early stages of development than we're even aware of. I don't want to speculate too much because I don't want to get your hopes up for something that may or may not ever come, unless it's Armada related, in which case I will totally try and get hopes up because let's, you know, keep the hype going for that game. It could use some help right now. But I think X-Wing is farther along because they haven't shown us models of anything for Legion yet. So, but also the fact that Legion's a newer game and X-Wing has, you know, a lot more history behind it. But it really boils down to the fact that there are models already available. Now, these models are very cool looking, and I think there's a ton of X-Wing stuff that can totally fit. I have actually done videos talking about all the different starfighters and everything that would fit into X-Wing and those two factions. Somebody else brought up a really cool point on another reason why X-Wing is more likely to possibly get this stuff first, is that we already have so many ships for X-Wing already that could cross over. If you remember when Scum came out for X-Wing Wave 1, we first got, you know, basically almost like a conversion kit in that Most Wanted pack that had stuff that allowed us to use existing ships from other factions in the Scum faction because there is some crossover. Well, the good news is that maybe we'll save you guys a little bit of money to try to jump into a brand new faction. There is already some of that in X-Wing right now. Look at the Arc 170, for example. Look at the Sheathipede, for example. You might even, for a slightly, I mean, Z95s, for a slightly farther stretch, you could even say that, you know, maybe Y-Wings, you know, even though granted there'd be a different model for Y-Wings and the Clone Wars, but you could make an argument to say that maybe they'll reuse, you know, or allow you to, you know, convert Y-Wings from one faction into another, like they did already with Scum, but that's kind of the same type of Y-Wing. I don't think they'll do Y-Wings the same for the clones as they are for the Rebels, for example, just because the Y-Wings of the Clone Wars were more newer and they had more armor. They hadn't dropped all the plating off, so I feel like they might be heavier, maybe better, you know, better defended and newer. So maybe they'll function better too. I think Y-Wings for the clones will be way better than Y-Wings for the Rebellion. Not to say that Y-Wings are bad, but I just think they're going to be different. I think it's going to be a different ship since they've dropped pieces off of it. But the Arc 170, definitely, like, I don't see any reason why, you know, and the thing is, not just because there's that whole potential that they may reuse some stuff and let you do some kind of conversion kit. I don't know if they'll do that or not, but the fact that they already have the models for so many of these ships in the game means it's very, very likely. I mean, and a lot of the Scum ships were around. And a lot of the ships in the Rebellion, as a matter of fact, were around. Like a YT-1300 was around during the Clone Wars. You know, like a lot of these things don't have to get thrown out. The Slave One, you know, you could totally use that same model. Now, I think they will re-release them in the Clone Wars factions. I think they will re-release them with their Clone Wars paint jobs, but there's nothing to stop you from, you know, using this model, as long as it's the same model, using a different paint job model. They've always allowed that in the past. So I think they've got a big head start on Clone Wars stuff already. I think they've already previewed some of the new models that are going to show up at some point. And that's exciting. As a matter of fact, I've even seen artwork promoting X-Wing 2.0 with all 7 factions on there, and you know, and the artwork is showcasing some of the Vulture droids and stuff. So I think it's very likely, and it's not really that much of a stretch to say that they will probably be Vulture droids as well, because that's kind of a given. Vulture droids and Haida bombers, I'm pretty sure, are like very likely. So I think there's already a big head start for X-Wing, as much as the assets they've already created in the past, as well as the fact that they previewed 2 new ones. Whereas for Legion, now we have hardly gotten anything. Now, Legion, there is always that chance that Legion could come out first. And the reason for that is, well, Legion doesn't have as many factions as X-Wing, so maybe Legion could use that extra depth more so than X-Wing, because X-Wing already has 5 before the Clone Wars come out. That accounts the, you know, Rebels, Imperial Scum, First Order, and Resistance. So, you know, that's going to push X-Wing to 7 factions, which is a lot, whereas these will push Legion into only 4 factions. So you could make the argument that Legion could use the help first and getting, you know, more factions and more diversity out there, because it's a newer game. It doesn't have as much depth that X-Wing has. So you definitely could make the argument for that. There's also a ton of content that can show up potentially in Legion for the Clone Wars, and I'm still holding out hope for a Gungan army, because I think that would be awesome. But I also want to think, you know, while I'm on the subject of Clone Wars and stuff, there was a board game that came out during when, you know, the prequel trilogy was out there. And let me know if you guys have ever played this game. It's called Star Wars Epic Duels. If you have ever played Star Wars Epic Duels, let me know in the comments what you think of it, because like there's a little part of me that hopes that Fantasy Flight will make something like Epic Duels. What it was this board game where you could pick like any character from the Star Wars universe up until that point. So this came out after Episode 2, so there was no Episode 3. And, you know, so you could be like Darth Maul, you could be, you know, Han Solo, you could be, you know, all these different characters. I think it had like 8 or 10 different character options, and you could play any number of characters. And it was basically a free-for-all battle royale. It was designed for multiple people. It wasn't just a one-on-one game. And you each had their own deck, and you had miniatures, and you put them on this map, and you move them around, and they would have henchmen too. Like, you might be Darth Vader with like 2 stormtroopers or something like that. You know, so it wasn't just your hero, but you had a very, very, very small squad. And I think in like the case of Han, you could be Han Solo and Chewbacca. So you didn't have henchmen, but you had 2 moderately powerful characters. And so that was like, everything was kind of balanced with each other. But like I would love to see them be able to, since they're doing, you know, they're doing more Clone Wars stuff, to be able to take a game like that came out right in the middle of the Clone Wars and be able to release it to everybody, and maybe make their own, you know, their own touch on it. But and especially since they have so many miniatures already between Imperial Assault and Legion. And if not, I hope all the characters that were in that game eventually show up in Star Wars Legion, so we can just make our own version of it. You know, or you could take all the cards from Epic Duels and just do that with Legion quality miniatures. It'll look even better. That would look really, really cool as well. But that's kind of on my wish list of things. But yeah, so ultimately, I think coming back full circle, I do think X-Wing will probably get their Clone Wars stuff first. I think Legion might get it second. But there's always that chance they will release them both at the same time. Now, when are they going to come out is probably a big question for a lot of folks. And I think it's going to be a while, because I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of designed all of this to launch around the same time that the Clone Wars final season comes out. Problem is, that I don't think that's going to, you know, Disney's currently, like, the estimations are they may wait until the end of 2019 before they're ready to actually release it. And if there are delays like there normally are, could be 2020 before that even happens. So if that's the case, then we may be waiting a long time for these factions. I mean, and also as evidenced by the fact that we still don't even have the First Order and Resistance out for X-Wing, let alone the 2 factions that are going to come out after that. So it may be quite a while before Clone Wars factions actually come out to our tabletop games. So, you know, there's plenty of time. So keep, you know, stay patient. I think they're going to want to time it with Clone Wars coming back to TV, because that's when the hype is going to be optimal and that's your best chance for success. I kind of wish they would also have announced Armada. I absolutely wish they would also have announced Armada, because that would be a great opportunity to get people into Armada. And if they wait until Clone Wars is dead and then they release an Armada Clone Wars, it might not have the same power that it would have had if it came out when Clone Wars was still on TV. But that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and that bell for alerts. I really appreciate all the support. Big thanks to all of you guys on Patreon. You guys are awesome. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. Don't forget to enter that giveaway. And as always, have a great day.